Dexter. Can you hear? Jerry says, I'm from Dexter. You know, I can hear. Yeah. Welcome to the, let's say we're going to call this the Carol and Mary Show. And they asked me to say a few words. I'm Dale Leslie. I'm the head of the co-chair, I guess you'd say, of the Centennial. Please pause for a moment of invocation. Lord, this is a very much anticipated day. 100 years ago today, some 60 businessmen, people from academia, decided that we needed a Kiwanis Club in Ann Arbor. And consequently, on June 13th, 1921, we were chartered as a Kiwanis Club. Interestingly enough, the sponsor of our club was Ypsilanti. So Ypsilanti is in fact celebrating their 100th birthday this year. But I just like to say that I think every time we convene, be it socially or during our meetings or committees, a miracle takes place. And what I mean by that is we have a cross-section of America that comes together at these events. People of all ages, both sexes, some grandmothers, some mothers, some grandfathers, and fathers. All of us have a story. And yet the bottom line is we are here to help others, to help leave our life better than we found it. And I can't think of a better vehicle than being affiliated with Kiwanis. I've always said we're the dirt under your fingernails organization. We do, and we help, and a lot of it is first person, and I'm really proud to say that and be associated likewise. So may we go about our business today. I ask your cooperation. We're going to pass a microphone around, and for those of you that feel comfortable, if you'd like to reflect on what your experience has been here in the club, please do so. If you'd rather not, that's fine too. But let's have a great time. And how about another round of applause for the two ladies who produced this operation? Oh yeah, with a lot of help, okay. Mary just reminded me that we have cake to go with the water we gave you. So please come up and have a piece of cake. You all should have door prize tickets and pins. Kathy is up here with free pins for members. So you should have gotten, and volunteers. Okay, we have pins for everybody. Okay, let's have fun. We have two of our most active Kiwanians right here. Certainly loyal Kiwanians. And Luz, why don't you begin, and we'll pass the mic to Lynn.
I am very, very happy to see all my friends here after 1.5 years. Yeah. I know my husband will be very happy too, but he's gone, so thank you.
Well, Luz's husband, Bob, was a very active Kiwanian, including being governor of our district, and president of the club. Yeah. And so we were so happy that Luz was able to come and join us on this happy day. And my name is Lynn Landy, and I guess my claim to fame is that I and Kathy Barden were the first two women to come into the Kiwanis Club of Ann Arbor back in 1987. And we have loved this club and been loved by this club ever since. We've both served as presidents, and anyway, we just thrive and love what the Kiwanis stands for. And I guess one of the things that I love most also is that I have made friends and met people whom I never would have met if it weren't for Kiwanis, and that's priceless.
Jim Dries has been very active in the organization of our Centennial, and very much so, and I think you have a guest to introduce.
I do. I have the minority leader of the Michigan House of Representatives, Donna Lisinski. She's an old friend. I remember years ago helping her out with a school board election. and this is her third term as a state representative, and who knows what the future holds. With that, Donna's got a little note for us.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Dale. It's been an honor to know both of you for as long as we have. The Kiwanis Club has been such a great partner. From my time with the Ann Arbor Public Schools, so many different projects that you've supported, so many children in need that you have extended a hand to. Families throughout our community have come to rely on you and all the services that you do. So to be here today to honor you, I have a tribute signed by every representative and senator in Washtenaw County, and will be very excited to share it with the crowd. Thank you for all that you have done over the years.
Can you get in on that? Look at that. That thing has got everybody's signature on here, for heaven's sakes. Gosh, they're all Democrats, too. Well, you know.
They are, as it turns out, here in Washtenaw County. They are. But we're so grateful. And actually, that brings to mind a good point. In these times that are so harshly divided in a partisan way, I know that from the beginning of my time working in schools, from your time as Kiwanis here for 100 years in our township, in our county, no one has ever said, are you a Democrat or Republican, before you've extended a hand. We all extend a hand to each other in need and to each other in celebration. And for that, our community is grateful.
Well, we need more people like you. Would you agree, Jim?
I think so. I absolutely agree. And, you know, we'll line up with our checkbook soon.
We now have a special guest, the former mayor of Ann Arbor. And by the way, Madam Mayor, yes, I was appointed to a committee that I still serve on. I don't know if I'm the only one.
It was a quality appointment.
Yes.
Quality.
Anyway, Ingrid Sheldon, what are your memories of Kiwanis?
Well, I do remember volunteering as a spouse down at the annual sale then, and helping the ladies. They were all very efficient, everything all organized, and I thought, I can't be as good as they all are. But what a wonderful contributing organization Kiwanis has been to the city of Ann Arbor. And I kind of equated it with, back in those days, urban ore, which was a big deal out in San Francisco for recycling. But we had and I'm going, we can't, you know, reduce the impact of Kiwanis in Ann Arbor by opening up our own city a recycling center, but I guess there's enough recycling for everybody.
And I know that you're active, Cliff is active in Kiwanis, but, well, you've been active too, but I mean in Rotary too, and I think the two organizations work well together.
I think they do. We manage to have projects that, you know, support the community. They can never do enough, as well as, you know, our outreach, you know, to the global community as well. So we're a pretty neat community to have such investment by ourselves in ourselves.
A unique quality of life. Someone mentioned that once.
Very definitely.
And now it's a pleasure of mine to talk to one of our senior members of the club, a past president, if you will, Cliff Sheldon. And Cliff, we talked to your lovely wife earlier, but she pointed us in your direction. So I guess you're the one that has the accolades now.
It's just been a great organization for me and the community, and I graduated from the JCs, and Dan Duncanson was kind enough to sponsor me to join Kiwanis and urged me to get involved and follow his footsteps, and it's been a kind of a love affair ever since, and have made a lot of friends. We've done helped do a lot of things for the community, and we're still getting better and better, even though we passed the 100-year mark.
And one of the interesting stories from my vantage point is how you and Ingrid met. I believe it was in the bookstore, wasn't it?
We were both working for Kroger's.
Oh.
I was a management trainee, and Ingrid was putting herself through Eastern Michigan as a checker. And her line is, one day she turned around and this tall, skinny kid was helping her pack groceries. And then my line is, I went over, kicked that guy out of the way, took over, and started showing her how to really pack groceries. But the truth is, I was that skinny guy.
You were the tall, skinny guy?
I was the tall, skinny
Gorgeous young man?
I remember that story. I guess because it's a nice story that has a pleasant ending. And how many years have you been married now?
53, just about.
Wow, 53. Jeepers. That's quite commendable. Fred, did you know there are 35 former past presidents of this club that are still active in the Kiwanis Club of Ann Arbor?
That's great to hear.
And you're one of them.
That's amazing, too. It's an act of the dear Lord, trust me.
Fred has an insatiable appetite for humor. Where do you get all these jokes from?
I'm what they call a carrier. I just pick them up from all over the place, and like Johnny Appleseed of humor, I have to, leave them here and there as I go.
Well, speaking of broadcasting, and we were talking about it earlier, is your son still in broadcasting?
No, he worked for NBC as a software quality assurance person. He worked in at the Rock. I can't think what Rockefeller Center. But they moved to California, and now he's into software development with streaming games. Oh.
There's a future there.
Well, I was always concerned the amount he played these games, but then he gets a job that he's in charge of quality assurance for him. It's incredible.
Well, what is your distinct memory or memories you have of this club? How many years have you been a member now?
I have 41 years of perfect attendance, and you can ask my ex-wife, I wasn't perfect at anything, let alone for 41 years.
But what stands out in your mind?
Well, I remember one time when I was the sales chairman, and one of the responsibilities of the sales chairman was to go to Sam's and get all the food for all the volunteers for when we had the big sale. And I pulled in, I had what was a poor man's Lexus, and I pulled inside, it was in a dock, and I unloaded it, and I put it in carts, and I took it up in the refrigerator, and I put it up there for about a half hour, and I came down. Will Fry, God bless him, he was in charge of the dock, and there he was. He had his elbow on my car, and he was selling it. He thought somebody donated it.
Oh, unless it's nailed down, it's for sale, I guess.
Yes. Well, if it's there, he definitely took advantage of it. So.
Well, great, Fred.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Fran Babbage. I'm the present governor of the Michigan Kiwanis, which has about 150 clubs throughout Michigan. It's been an interesting time during this COVID. I want to congratulate Ann Arbor for their 100-year anniversary and all the work they do. So many clubs look to them for advice and look for their guidance, and we hope they can keep guiding us all along.
Hey, this is Larry Bimmer from the Chelsea Kiwanis Club, past governor. I bring greetings from Chelsea. We always try to support everything that happens in Ann Arbor, particularly with the Ann Arbor, what used to be the downtown club. And as governor, I came here many times and continue to come here many times because I really think this is one of the best clubs around. And I like to support everything they do, and you've got great leadership. So I continue success with you, and I'm celebrating your 100th year.
We're talking now to our Lieutenant Governor in this division, Nancy Memmer. And Nancy, I want to ask you first of all about this project you have with blankets in working with the Child Life Department.
Okay. Our group is called Preemie Pals, and we make quilts for the neonatal intensive care unit at Mott Hospital and other hospitals in the area. And last year we made 1,700 quilts.
And tell us what the purpose of them are.
Okay, the purpose of the quilts is to give hope and love and a silent hug to the parents who are going through an extremely stress-filled time in their life. And the babies take the quilts home with them when they go home.
They drape them, if they're in some sort of isolation, they drape them over the...
isolate.
Yeah, and there is response to that.
Yes. The reason that we put them over the isolate is because it's a very loud and a very bright area. And so by putting these over there, it kind of wraps that child in a little cocoon where the bright lights are dimmed and the noise is muffled.
Great idea. And is this being done elsewhere? Was this your concept?
It was not mine. I just joined a group who was already doing it, but I brought it to Kiwanis because it fits Kiwanis perfectly. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So that there are volunteers from all over the state who are working in it. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your duties in the division here. Have you enjoyed the experience?
I have loved it. It's been a lot of fun. I'm going to be Lieutenant Governor one more year because I can't find a replacement. But I've enjoyed being with the clubs and just doing the things that make Kiwanis Kiwanis.
And her husband was the governor of the Michigan district, so they've really got a Kiwanis family there.
Do.
Any other things you want to make, observations about Kiwanis at this point?
I would just like to congratulate the Ann Arbor Club for their 100 years of service in this community and all the things they have done for so many people. I'm really proud of them.
Friends, this is past President Larry French, and there are a number of other responsibilities you've had in addition to that. But foremost, talk about your activity in the Michigan district.
Well, I was been involved with the Kiwanis of Michigan Foundation, which provides support to the Child and Family Life Departments of 4 hospitals. Started with C.S. Mott Children's Hospital, Mary Freebred Rehabilitation Hospital in Grand Rapids, and McLaren Northern Michigan Hospital in Petoskey, and the Michigan Children's Hospital in Detroit. First with Mott, and it continued for several years by this club, and then 18 other clubs in southeast Michigan helped fund it, and eventually it became a Michigan district project, and the 4 hospitals were added periodically. I believe that it's the most significant project we've had other than the sale in the history of this club. So,
as far as touching a number of lives, is that kind of what you're measuring it by?
We've been doing it since 21, and there's about the children served by the hospitals, inpatient, outpatient, average about 23,000 a year. So you add that up over a series of years, and you also serve the siblings and the parents and et cetera, et cetera. So it's a significant project.
Well, I tip my hat to him because not ever having that position, I've watched a few that have had, and I know it's kind of a thankless job. I mean, something you really have to be dedicated to.
Well, I think I've been president and I've been a trustee. And now our club has the right to appoint a liaison member to the Board of Trustees, and I'm currently that, but I think I'm going to let it turn over to somebody else. I've been involved for about 20 years, and I think it's time for somebody to go away.
I think you deserve a rest. It's time to talk to Ann Matson, past president of this club, judge in the community, and a very active Kiwanian. What are your memories of this club?
Oh, I remember going curling in Ontario with the club, and it was wonderful. Lynn Landy and a friend of mine, Barbara DeBroat, were the only women that went on the bus trip with the guys. And it was a memorable experience. It was actually a lot of fun. And I'd never had the chance to do curling before, so that was one of my most memorable things. And then we went to the ropes course, and we did the whole ropes course with a group of U of M students and some other Kiwanians. And Ingrid Sheldon went with me, and we had a great time. She broke a rib, but we had a great time. So lots of fun times with Kiwanians and friends of Kiwanis. And I do remember when I was president and how interesting that was, and how you learned there were so many things about the club that you didn't know before until you became president, and everything started to kind of filter through you, and you got to meet everybody. And those are friendships that have lasted to this day, and it's wonderful to see so many of those people here today. And this is a wonderful event, a wonderful occasion, and I'm very proud and happy to have been a member of this club for 30-some years now.
That curling exchange, I might add, went on for 40 years. We would go to Blenheim. They would come to our club and play golf during the summer. And I think that was just a tremendous tradition. And then their club kind of dissolved, and that's the way it ended. But it was great. Blenheim Interclubs are part of our tradition.
Right, right. And I enjoy watching curling to this day on TV. Thank you.
Now it's time to talk to the Benedicts. My goodness. Dick, I think we can say this. You're our most senior member.
That's my understanding.
When did you join?
I think I'd probably have to look at the directory to tell you. I have 1958. No,
64.
63 or 64, somewhere in there. Yeah.
You ever notice how your wife always knows those kinds of things? I should just ask her, right?
I caught on to that. You're absolutely right. Well, since we were married in 1958, I've had a long time. I've had a long time to catch on to that.
This is Alyssa Benedict, by the way, in case you haven't gathered as such. What is your observation about being a Kiwanian, or being affiliated with Kiwanis?
Well, I love it. I visit very often, not as often as I would like to. I think the speakers are wonderful. I think the fellowship is wonderful. And I think the generosity of Kiwanians is phenomenal. And their volunteering is a great thing for many, many, many people.
Yes. One of the things I have to tell you about Dick Benedict is his train that he gets out at Christmas time. And, well, you talk about it, your model train.
Well, yeah, absolutely. These are a pre-World War II Lionel electric trains, what they called standard gauge, which were the large ones. And, of course, they're all metal. The plastics hadn't been developed yet. That's why they're still around. And the interesting thing is, I often think when I was a kid and I set them up, I thought I was immortal and these were my toys. And now, several decades later, I realized the immortality was with the trains. They're exactly the way they were then. I've changed a little bit, but they're the same.
And tell us about this beautiful beard you have. Is that in commemoration of our Centennial?
I'm afraid I've made that in commemoration of the pandemic.
Oh.
What I decided to do is just let it grow, and then when this is over, that'll be the time to cut it off. So when Dr. Fauci says this is all over, then I'm going to cut it off. But until then, I'm just having since we're not going anywhere, I figured why bother shaving, So, but when I look in the mirror, I don't recognize myself. I'm surprised that anybody here. Apparently, a number of people have still recognized me.
Well, and your longevity as a member is parallels with perfect attendance too, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes, indeed it does. That's been a kind of an enjoyable thing. We've tended to de-emphasize it to some extent here in our club, but it's very much respected and appreciated when we travel around and go to other clubs. And I've always got it's a great. I think attendance is what's important. Perfect attendance really isn't, I don't think, but although I've maintained mine certainly, but attendance is important. And it's been said that setting an example isn't the best means of influencing others. It's the only means. And some guy, you may have heard of him, a guy named Albert Einstein. He's the one that said that. So I figure if I say, and the statistics seem to prove that attendance is important in terms of the long-term survival and vitality of the club. And I figure since I'm preaching that, I should put my money where my mouth is. So at least I can do is maintain my own attendance. And we enjoy doing it. We enjoy doing it.
Well, you set an example for all of us to follow, Dick, and it's wonderful that you've been a member this long.
Once you join Kiwanis, it will be a meaningful and important part of your life. You'll get a lot out of it, and the Kiwanis will get a lot out of your membership. All of the volunteers and the members give it their all.
We have two pillars of the club. Look, they're both laughing when I say that. Okay, well, introduce yourself and tell your memory of Kiwanis.
I'm Gordon Beeman, and I've been a member since the mid-1980s. The person who first introduced me to Kiwanis was Dr. Ned Place. And we walked through the old building downtown, came to his room, Ned's place. So that was my first experience with Kiwanis. Worked in the sporting goods there for decades, and I enjoy working out here at the Kiwanis Center. It's a great building, and our sales expanded a lot, as you know.
And Gordon's a past president of the club, I might add. Sandy?
How do I follow that? Sandy Rabideau. I've been I think a volunteer since 2016 and a member shortly after. Gary Kavanaugh over here introduced me to the club. He started volunteering and he was having so much fun and bringing so many fun things to his home that I was seeing that I had to join, you know. And once I joined, I saw what a great organization it was, and I joined the newsletter committee, which was something totally different from anything I'd ever done before, and now I'm co-chairman of the committee, and I just love it. I'm just so glad I joined Kiwanis, and I hope someday I can say I'm a 50-year member. So.
And she does an excellent job in her editorship, if that's the term. And I think we have, I think we have one of the best newsletters in Kiwanis International. I mean, really, let's be honest. Do you think so?
I think we do.
Now we're going to talk to Bob Carr. And Bob and I are in agreement all the way to the tip of the iceberg that the University of Texas has the best marching band in the world.
Show Band of the Southwest.
That's what they're called.
And I know the father of a player there and a graduate there in that area. And what is that guy doing now?
He is a trombone performance professor at Colorado State in Fort Collins, Colorado. You ever been there?
Yes, I've been there several times, but you know, I taught about 40 miles south of there at the University of Colorado in Boulder for 5 years before coming here. And living there, we lived 1,000 feet above Boulder. Not very many people in America live 1,000 feet above Boulder. So we were about, 6,500 feet up. So,
73.
and so then we came, excuse me, I got it corrected, 73. So then we came here, and it's a little flat here.
Well, my son had the thrill of playing at Red Rock, which is the Philharmonic place to play. Yes, have you guys been there? Oh,
that's the place to go listen to music in the summertime. And on an evening up there, I've only been there a couple of times like that, but in the evening, it's amazingly quiet around, and it's so open that even when people are talking between sessions, you know, it's not loud. And then when the music comes along, anyway, it's a special place.
Aren't you thrilled that you've done this? He did 3 nights, and he said, well, I've done it before, Dad. I said, well, you never told me that. You know how kids are. Well, give us a little Kiwanis history here now.
My dad was a member of Kiwanis in San Antonio for lots of years, downtown. And there it was like a lot of Kiwanis clubs. They wore suits, and it was all formal. And I visited a couple of times. I was in high school, and so when I heard about Kiwanis in Ann Arbor, I thought, why would I be interested in that? And Gene Glisson invited me down, and he was a fellow professor. So I came down to Kiwanis and came down again, and of course we were downtown then, and then we went through a lot of things and how we did things, and I got involved. And now at this point, I don't know, about 40 years or such in the club, it's the nicest group of people I've ever been among.
Is the greatest group of folks.
People think about the other people. They're all happy to come. Nobody is, regardless of what, some are in ties, some are not, such as that. It doesn't matter. They're just folks. They're here from everywhere. They're friendly to everyone. And then when you put the sale on top of that, with those same people, and they're all pitching in, and they're saying howdy to everybody and all that happens. But the second thing that goes with that is the second best group of people I've ever known are the customers that we get, because they come in here from every direction with whatever they happen to have. Some have money, some don't have any money. They're small to large. And as you know, for some time I was a greeter on Saturday morning. And so I was counting everybody as they came in and said, "Good morning, great to see you." And I loved doing that. And then I got stopped by by getting the COVID that came around. But when they came in, they were happy. And when they left, they were happier. It's just, it was everybody was just catching for everyone. So that's why it's success. We talk about the money. Yeah, the money was terrific, but the success of just the people enjoying it and being a part of it is at least as much.
And now we have a young person that's a member of this club, and a dynamic one at that, Evan Leroy. And Evan, tell us who your guests are here.
Yeah, I'm here with my beautiful daughter Lucy, who just turned 9. And I'm here with my youngest son Sam, who is 4. And he's currently in a hip cast because he broke his femur 5 weeks ago. So he's only 10 more days and he'll be done with the cast. Are you ready to have the cast off, buddy? No? I know he kind of likes being treated like a king, so he might want to keep it on a little bit longer.
Well, my son, after his 2nd birthday, slipped in the child swimming pool that we had in the backyard and broke his leg. And he was in a body cast that came all the way up here. And that was an adventure for someone 2 years old. So those things do happen. Tell us about your involvement in Kiwanis.
So Kiwanis, I was originally part of the Livonia Club when I was right out of college. So I think it was 08, 09, 010, or just 10. And then I took a little break. We were moving and started school again. And then I came to the Kiwanis Club of Ann Arbor in 2015 and joined. And I've been a member here ever since, so 6 years now. Held a couple different positions, committee chairs. Currently I'm the club treasurer, not to be confused with the foundation treasurer, who has the real hard job. Mine's all just for looks. Let's see, volunteer at the dock regularly and get my hands dirty with Peter Shork and Steve Hiller and the likes.
I remember Lucy used to be a recruit.
Yep. Lucy helped us out at the dock, didn't you? Uh-huh. She helped greet people and take donations, and yeah. And I'll bring the next generation too once they're in working order.
Oh gosh, how did he fracture it?
He fell down the stairs when he was sleeping, so no more sleeping, no more falling asleep at the top of the stairs at our house. It's just Kiwanis is a great organization. Can't say enough great things about this club. Dynamic. We've got so many members and new members coming in all the time that it's just a joy to be part of. So.
It's our pleasure to have C. Nicholas Deeber, an active member of the Kiwanis Club of Ann Arbor, who has quite a family relationship going here, as his dad was a past president of the club, and his brother currently is a member of the club. Talking about Chuck Deeber, respectively, and Dan Deeber. But it's time for us to talk about Nick a little bit, because he does a whole lot of things around here. And Nick, do you have any 1 or 2 remembrances you'd like to share about the club?
Censored. Hey, they didn't let me share the wine in the back room at downtown. All the adults seem to wander back there, but they kind of shoot us kids away. Earliest memories, shoe department. Murray Wanty shoes. babysat me. Mom farmed us kids out. She had the two girls. Dan was in hardware, and I was in the shoe department. We'd pull out a big box underneath the wooden tables, and I'd stand on the box and sell shoes.
Tom Lovell had his son down selling in the furniture department. And all of a sudden he turned around, and here is his son selling a sewing machine to a customer. And so Tom thought, well, you know, I better go over there and see what's being said. And he went over there, and his son closed the sale right when he was there. I don't know how old he would have been, but he maybe been 10 or 12 years old. I don't know. So it was not uncommon for children to come down, and I never could seem to interest mine, but you certainly had in the Bardens too, right? Yes. So what do you think about this new location, and has it been what you thought it would be?
I think it was a brilliant move. We've got 3 tenants that more than support the building, taxes, insurance. There was a heck of a lot of deferred maintenance when we bought it, and we've been working steadily on that. Most of it has been done, but there's still more to do. Nancy and I live in Chelsea at this point, so it's very convenient.
Nick, I was curious if our club pays rent to the foundation for being here in this building.
The foundation owns the building.
Okay.
And I think there's some arrangement at this point where the club pays the foundation a little bit, use of the meeting room when we meet on site, and maybe for some of the administrative offices.
Nick, how many square feet do we have in this building?
The building's like 122,000 roughly.
And now we have Dan Burrows, and I can't think of a more diverse person in reference to your activity in the community than you, sir.
Oh, is that right? Well, I don't know about that, Dale, but I taught for a lot of years in our public schools, of course, mainly at Slauson. Great school. If you went to Slauson, you're in good shape.
Well, tell us about your Kiwanis involvement. How did that evolve?
Well, you know, I had a good friend, Don Kosick, who was a teacher at Pioneer, and when I was about to retire, he knew that I'd have a little extra time and would be able to go to noon meetings and things like that. And Don's such a great guy. I said, well, Don, that'd be a great offer. I'll try that out. And so it's worked very well. And, you know, I just got involved in the giving side of this organization, which is really fun to give away all the, the funds that we raise and so forth. And so when I got on the Children and Youth Services Committee with Mike Dabbs, and we just had a lot of fun doing that kind of stuff, given to all those organizations. And then when we decided to switch over to Washtenaw Community College for scholarships, they needed somebody to chair the group. And I said, whoa, I don't know if I want to do that. That's a big job. But once I got started on that, I thought, well, this is really worthwhile activity. And we've helped a lot of kids with their education.
Now, I know the most recent project with Washtenaw has been extremely successful. What was the total amount of money that you were able to raise for those scholarships?
It's amazing, really. In the last 3 years, now 3 years this year, we've raised over $72,000 on average each of those years. And that we wanted to support. We started out saying if we could support 10 full scholarships at Washtenaw Community College for kids for 2 years, we could see them all the way through their educations or their associate's degree at Washtenaw. And that worked out to be half of what we actually can support. Our members were so generous, and the club has been so generous that we've been able to put $3,500 scholarships, which is a year's worth of education at Washtenaw Community College. We've been able to, with $72,000, support 20 full-time full-ride scholarships. So that's just been amazing. And we work with a lady out there named Shana Barker, who just is terrific at distributing funds. She just knows what she's doing, and her boss, Phil Snyder, helps us a lot as well. And those two people just made it so we actually end up supporting close to 30 kids a year because of the way that they can work the distribution out there. So it's just been terrific.
Now tell us about your other affiliation, Measure to Measure. I want you to acquaint the audience with that.
Great. Well, Measure for Measure is a 90-plus person men's choral group, and that also is attributed to another Kiwanian, Jim Moretta here. Because Jim was in Measure for Measure. He's a longtime singer. And when I retired, Jim said, "Oh, you should try out for Measure." And I wasn't sure I wanted to do that either, but I told, "Oh, I'll come over and do that." And so I managed to get in that group. And so that's been another, 15 plus years of singing with Measure for Measure. And it's just a terrific group. Steve Lorenz, who's the music conductor at Pioneer High School and the coordinator there, is also our conductor. And he's a brilliant musician and just a wonderful person. And so it's just great, to work with him.
Well, I have an uncle in the music business too, although he's my son.
And you have a son too, right? And he was in the 8th grade at Slauson. I had him in my history class, right?
Did he behave himself?
Oh, he did, yes. The only thing I missed was I didn't get a trombone solo out of him, and I should have.
Well, Dan's a great Kiwanian, great guy, and it's our pleasure to have him in the club.
Well, thank you, Dale. Appreciate it. And Kiwanis does everything for this community that you would be proud of, so that's great.